You're now enrolled in the School of BlackNegroJItsu. Is it your first day? Don't worry. The master, Lawler Stephen, and his co-instructors, David, Mike, will take it easy on you, rookie. Before we get into this podcast, big shout out to our sponsor, Ball Club Box at ballclubbox.com. Ball Club Box is a sports apparel provider that provides their subscribers with monthly gift boxes full of quality licensed sports merchandise that reflects their customer support for their team. Usually these items only appear at specific stadiums or sports stores, but they intend to make it easier to customers to support their desired franchise without leaving their homes, and in some cases stay by offering this subscription service. You pick the teams, they pick the items and send them to you each month. There's 3 different boxes. You got the club box, $55 for $75 worth of apparel. The executive club box, $75 for $125 worth of apparel. And the ball club season pass. That's the deal right there. That's $150 for 3 $75 boxes worth $125 each. That's $375 worth of stuff. That's $225 more than you paid. Ballclubbox.com. Go check it out. I'm telling you, they're the shiz. Also, do me a favor. Go check out Kobe's Corner. That's Kobe with a K. Corner with a K. I hope there's not another K. But go check out Kobe's Corner on YouTube. Also, go check out Kobe'sCorner.com. That's 2 Ks. I'm a writer for the site. Kobe did the intro. Good friend of mine. Great YouTube channel. Analysis, breakdown of fights. Of course, articles by me and other MMA journalists, podcasters, whatnot. Kobe's Corner, man. Go check it out. One of the fastest growing YouTube channels for MMA and one of the best online. Welcome to the School of BlackNegroJItsu, guys. I'm here joined by a slew of characters today. Of course, you know who I am. I'm the master of BlackNegroJItsu, Lawler Stephen from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm joined today by my usual co-host, Mike from Mike's MMA Picks. Mike, tell him what's good.
Welcome. Glad to be back, guys.
That's my usual co-instructor, but I've got 2 guest co-instructors at the School of BlackNegroJItsu tonight. I've got Master Kevin Jones. Kevin Jones, what's good? West Texas, what's up?
West Texas in the house, man. You know what it is. I'm doing a little pre-gaming. I got rained down my golf game. I'm going to go hit up the shuffleboard, man, and do some of those 12-ounce curls later.
Okay. And I've got a very special co-instructor, the actual instructor for Frank Mir, striking coach, and I forget the female fighters, but he'll tell you. I've got Angelo Reyes here. Angelo Reyes, what's up tonight?
Man, this is going to be fun, guys. I can already feel the energy and the vibe that this is going to be a fun talk tonight.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, Angelo, before we get into anything, we were talking about your history with training Frank Mir. Where did it start at? Did it start at the Todd Duffy fight?
It started before that, actually, guys. So December 2014 was when I started working with Frank. And then, I was coming over from having had a chance to work with both Brandon Vera. And the fighter that I was coming over with, her name is Anna Hulaton. You guys, if you Google search her, you'll know more and more about her, and you'll actually hear some pretty big news about her coming up pretty soon. But Anna Hulaton was Freddie Roach's 28th world champion. So Freddie Roach, who's a 7-time trainer of the year, you guys know. I mean, if you know boxing, then you know who Freddie Roach is. I don't have to explain to you who that guy is. So Freddie's actually only trained 2 women champions from the beginning of their pro career to their championship fight. The first one he developed was Lucia Riker, and then the second one is Anna Hulaton. So Anna Hulaton was sort of a part of that Team Pacquiao growth when Pacquiao was coming up, and then I was Anna's karate instructor. So my background is I have over 25 years in Kempo karate. I ran my own dojos up in San Francisco. So I got to meet Freddie Roach around 2006, started bringing him some of the talents that we might have. And Anna Hulaton actually came through in that, and Freddie Roach trained Anna, and I got to be the assistant there from 06 to 2011. And then the reason why I got into MMA is because Anna wanted to go into MMA in 2014. There's a nice story that Kevin Ioli wrote about it when Anna decided to do both sports. So, like sometimes, guys, you hear about these girls now who are like, oh, I'm coming from boxing, I'm doing MMA, blah, blah, blah. Look, man, all them people are just basically following in what Anna already did back in 2014. And really, the most notable person we all know right now that went from boxing to MMA, of course, is Holly Holm, who knocked out Ronda Rousey. So she slayed the dragon,
Really, too, if you think about it, I mean, these girls, there's a lot of money to be made in MMA, and it's just going to get bigger with these women's divisions getting so popular. So it's not surprised that, boxing and women's boxing, that you're kind of capped there. But Ronda Rousey done showed these girls that there's no cap to the limited money you can make over here doing MMA. So I think that's why we see a lot of them taking a shot at it,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll tell you what, man, I always, you got it. A lot of times I feel like some of the new media, they don't do their research, or they don't give their due diligence to the people in the past. Because really, if you think about it, gentlemen, the person that really started women's MMA is Scott Coker. And Scott Coker brought on Gina Carano, Cyborg, and the whole bit. And then when he did Strikeforce, he's the one that gave the stage to Ronda Rousey, Miesha Tate, and all these, all the other ladies that we start to see now. He kind of gave the birth of it. And then, of course, you guys know he sold Strikeforce to the UFC, so the UFC inherited all of that branding that Scott Coker had already done. So, Bellator is at exciting times right now, because Bellator,
yeah, no doubt.
Scott's, I think, in his third year now. He's brought his team. So it's kind of fun. And like I said, gentlemen, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, Frank was just talking about it with Ariel Helwani yesterday on the MMA Hour, but I wouldn't be surprised if Frank ends up in Bellator. I wouldn't be surprised if Anna ends up in Bellator.
Bellator is where it's at, man. That's the future right there. I think they're gonna. UFC is kind of shooting themselves in the foot with the younger talent, man. Their older talent is drying up. You only get a short window with these guys, and Bellator is doing the right things with the young guys.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and you have to think about it this way. One of the differences I think that Bellator does bring to the table is, okay, let's for just a moment, let's talk about this Mayweather-McGregor fight. You see how UFC allowed McGregor.
Just a moment, though. Promise me it's only going to be a moment.
Yeah, I promise it'll be small. But, and this goes to more of my Bellator point. You see, now they had to basically have Conor get the permission from the UFC in order for him to box with Floyd Mayweather. And in return, the UFC's making a lot of money, and obviously Conor's making a lot of money. But the thing about Bellator is, and with Scott Coker, is he doesn't get in your way. If you want to go ahead and fight M1 tournaments in Japan, go fight it. If you want to go fight at Risen, go fight it. If you want to go box, go box. He doesn't want to get in the way because he knows Scott Coker's a martial artist himself.
He doesn't.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, no, he doesn't do anything. He basically you have your people talk to Scott, and then Scott makes the deal. Or actually, he's got a really great vice presidents and Mike Kogan and Rich Chu. And those guys are really, like the inner workings and the day-to-day guys that really do a lot. And there's a lot of people that are great people in the Bellator company too. So I think as you see, like I think it was a banner. I think the more you guys watch Bellator, especially this year, the more you're going to kind of see this trend where you go, wow. I mean, can you guys imagine if Frank Mir goes to Bellator? Like, let's say Frank Mir goes to Bellator. Yeah. Now you can see Frank Mir Fedor. You can see Frank Mir King
Roy
Mo.
Nelson again.
You can see, I don't know. I mean, maybe. But I was thinking, like, Fedor's a big one. King Mo's a big one. And let me throw one at you guys that you might not even think of yet. Brock Lesnar. That could happen, possibly. But even without Brock Lesnar, remember about 2 years ago, you guys are boxing folks, and Tyson Fury was talking all that shit about how MMA fighters suck, and I would destroy Cain Velasquez, and I'm the heavyweight boxing champion of the world. Well, in 2015, I already had Frank kind of telling the media, man, I'll fucking box Tyson Fury, and with me, I'm the boxing coach, and I'm like, yeah, I could actually see that being a pretty good match. So now the Tyson Fury, obviously he's lost his title. He went through the drug thing. I think he's thinking about retiring right now. But imagine next year Scott Coker being in the picture, and imagine with Scott's ability to kind of just let things kind of happen. How about if we do see a Frank Mir versus Tyson Fury in the boxing ring, and then it's promoted alongside a Bellator in the cage Tyson Fury comes in and Frank Mir destroys him, kind of thing, you know? So
and that
there's a
that
lot
fight
of,
sells anywhere in the world.
Exactly. And that's what Scott does. I think Scott and the Bellator group, they're very open-minded business people. They're not trying to close the door.
Yeah.
You touched
and the other
on
thing
it,
is the insurance side of it too. I wonder what type of insurance policies they sign to have those cross promotion fights. Like what if one of them gets injured?
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Nobody's
Nobody's ever done it
promoters
before.
insurance.
Yeah, nobody's ever done it before.
You touched on it earlier, Mr. Reyes. You touched on it, saying, and you know, it's not that they're not business people, but you touched on Coker he's a martial arts guy. And
right.
If you look at the history of the UFC, it's all business. I mean, all business guys in there. I mean, you got Dana White, but he was a manager. He was on that side of the fight game. So,
right.
You know, that's why it's all about business over there. And when you go to a Bellator show, it's a very family atmosphere. You know what I mean? These guys call me up and you know, make sure I'm coming down there. And if I wanted a hotel, and they're overly nice to even a guy like me, which they don't have to be. You know what I mean? And
right.
If you ask any of the fighters, like the way they shuttle them all around, they get them there early, make their weights cuts as easy as they can be. They shuttle them around everything. It's a family deal. All those fighters know each other. They're all hanging out to each other at these events. You know what I mean? And it's a beautiful thing to see, man. It's not so much like you go to a boxing match, all business, man.
All right, guys. Let me just go ahead and this is awesome. Let's familiarize everybody with the topics today. We're going to be discussing gambling and fixed fights in mixed martial arts. I've got a very special interview with Leo Kuntz, who's the only participant and the only known documented fixed fight, the one that there is actual evidence of by a government of on record. We're going to have an interview with him. We're going to talk about gambling and fixed fights in mixed martial arts. We're also going to talk about Floyd Mayweather's history of domestic violence and what it actually says about him. Is it baby mama drama or is he a wife beater? Okay. I've been taking a look at these stories and I wanted to kind of maybe give another angle on that, and also UFC 214 and all things concerning that. As a matter of fact, let's do that first and foremost. Let's get into UFC 214. This past weekend, there were a couple of shocking, I thought, events on UFC 214. First and foremost, I was absolutely shocked that Calvin Kattar upset Andre Touchy-Feely. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe a guy with just a boxing background came in, got took all 3 rounds from such an established UFC veteran on short notice. I was also shocked that Volkan Oezdemir, who doesn't seem to have any technical proficiency at all to speak of on film, continues to run through the UFC light heavyweight division like X-Lax through a 70-year-old, I guess, man. This is ridiculous. I mean, his fights against top-ranked opponents, his last 2 fights have lasted a total of like 2 minutes. No, not even 2 minutes. A minute in all. This is absolutely astounding. Angelo Reyes, do you have any explanation for how this guy who doesn't seem to have he's obviously got some skill, but I don't understand.
Are we talking about Volkan first, or are we talking about the Feely fight first? Which one? Which one do you want me to answer first?
Well, I seen how Philly got pieced apart. What I don't understand is this Volkan Oezdemir shit, man. I mean, Rumble didn't run through Jimmy Manure like that. Oezdemir took his lunch immediately. I mean, he went over.
Now we're talking about hands, and this is one of the things that I do is when I teach boxing in MMA, I have a very different concept because because I got to be a very deep part of the boxing world. And then I also, before that, I was in the karate world. So I have a different concept than how you're supposed to teach boxing for MMA, because boxing for MMA is not the same as boxing for boxing. There are moves that you can do and moves that you can't, and moves that you can get away with and moves that you can't. And also the other thing, gentlemen, is that depending on the weight limit that you're fighting at, remember, man, power translates. So you're wearing a 4-ounce glove, you're fighting a 205er. Let's pretend that 205er actually maybe walks around more like 225. Let's just assume, right? 225, 230. So the way Manuwa kind of did his plan, again, you know, I don't want to talk too much about it because people just get caught. Sometimes you just get caught. But Jimmy Manuwa, I mean, you know, Volkan Oezdemir, he trains with Henry Hooft. Henry Hooft is a kickboxing champion, I believe he was, and coaches a lot of different guys. He has the Combat Sports Club, I think, up in Miami. But I would have thought that Jimmy would have known, hey, man, might not be a good idea to get in that clinch with someone like Volkan. And that's what he did. He kind of sort of got in that clinch and was a little careless because maybe he thought, well, screw it, you know, Volkan's back's up against the wall, up against the cage. But in my opinion, as a coach, I'm like, yeah, sometimes that's when you could really get a good strike in. For example, on the Contender Series last week, you saw Ryan Spann got knocked out. Sorry, Texas guys. You know, I just got to say it. But
I saw it coming.
Carl Roberts, I mean, like when I saw the move, I was like, damn it, Ryan. You know, there was just too much space there. And he didn't, you know, there's a couple of moves he could have done. Again, I don't want to talk about it too technically because I don't like doing that. Like, you know, hindsight is 20/20. It's like, bro, you get caught, you get caught. But I will say that if you're training at 155 pounds on up, you should already know that the higher the weight goes, the more chances you'll get knocked out. So being careless is the worst thing you could do when it comes to striking. And in a way, I kind of want to say that Jimmy Manuwa got a little bit careless. So not to take away again from what Volkan did, because what Volkan did was very, very good. But I don't see Volkan doing that to John Jones. No. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't see Volkan doing that to Cormier. I don't see Volkan doing that to Alexander Gustafsson.
Possibly. This dude is.
I don't know, man.
I got your back, Leroy.
It's like Jesus walks into the cage with him at this point or something like that. I don't know what's going on here.
Well, what do you guys think about the
man? And I don't understand. I don't see it on the film, but this motherfucker gets in that cage and he's fucking unstoppable. I don't get it.
The Cirkunov fight was a little something too.
Now let's talk about that. Now let's talk about the Cirkunov fight, because is Cirkunov a striker or a grappler? For as far as we all know, Cirkunov's best well known for his grappling. So I could understand that. It's like, okay, dude, you knocked out that guy who I mean, he hits hard because he's 205, but really he doesn't have like the striking background to do what he can. Now Jimmy Manuwa, that's a big win because Jimmy Manuwa is all striking, guys. I mean, that's what he does. You know, he knocks out OSP. You know, Jimmy Manuwa was talking heavy about, I want to fight David Haye in a boxing ring. And I'm kind of like, you might want to slow your roll, bro, and go back, you know, like this, you know, maybe get back up on top.
Oezdemir needs to change his name to the S.O.G. Son of God, like Andre Ward.
Nah, man.
Like, you got to get unstoppable, man. He is the anointed one.
Leroy, you got to give this guy some more credit than that, man. I'll tell you what I think about that fight. I thought the same thing before it happened, dude. This is a coin flip fight. And even bringing up Ryan Spann, man. I mean, Ryan Spann's a guy that a lot of people might not know unless they watch Legacy. But he has a lot of ability, man. A lot of God-given ability. Speaking of Son of God, right?
I agree.
So
I agree.
I'm a big Ryan Spann very long. Yeah, no doubt. He fights long. I mean, he doesn't see things as well as he needs to, and that's what's cost him these fights that he's lost. And fights a little long. Jimmy Manuwa fights a little long himself. He's a lot more tighter in the stand up than Ryan Spann is. But with this fight going in, man, we seen what the Swedish guy did, man. Oezdemir. I mean, I'm glad you were saying his name so much. Now I know how to fucking pronounce it. This guy, when you go in, man, this is a coin flip deal. I looked, I'm a betting man. I looked at it, it was a tight line. I said, no fucking way in hell I'd bet on any side of that fight. And, the logical pick would have been Jimmy Manawa because people know him better. But this was a fucking trap bet if I ever seen one. And I'm going to tell you what, there are not going to be a lot of people betting against this Swedish guy, Oezdemir, in his next fight, man. And that's what happens. I'm not sure, it's a product of being caught. Anybody could have got caught in that fight. But
the other thing is he doesn't look pretty when he's out there. He looks clumsy, unorthodox in a lot of respects, and he reminds me of Keith Jardine, the way he moves around the octagon. So I think a lot of people, when they see that, they just don't see a super athletic guy out there, and they hold that against him.
Okay, I think that's enough talk about Oezdemir, the S.O.G. I think we got to move on to Alexander Albu versus Kalen Curran. I thought this was the fight of the night. Albu is apparently the master of twerking. I have not yet to see any of her twerk videos, but yeah, I don't see how these two didn't get a bonus for that bloodbath that they went through. I don't think Moicano versus Ortega was better than this. This was back and forth war. I didn't enjoy it from a technical standpoint. I really enjoyed it, though.
I'll tell you what, LaRa, I'm going to jump in because I'm going to talk about the Moicano fight. I'm not the biggest fan, in a card this big, man, and the way I'm partying on Saturday night, I had to miss that bloodbath women's fight, man. But you talked about these fixed fights, man. I bet on this fight. I had a solid tip that his opponent had a terrible fucking camp, and Moicano was going to have his fucking number in the stand-up. Line's at $155. After I get the tip, half a day it goes to $180 after the weigh-ins. I guess he looked bad at the weigh-ins. But so the line jumped a full 25 points. So I lay heavy on it, man. Fucking can't lose, man. Got a solid tip from a guy I respect. And he gets sucked into the rear naked choke at the end of it. Now, when he flipped him over, he was out the fucking choke. And it's like he dived back into the fucking thing. I ain't saying it was fixed, but at the time that I'm down, several C notes over this fucking deal, I'm thinking, I don't fucking like that fucking finish. I think this shit's fixed.
Wait a minute.
I'll leave that up.
I think it might be divine. A couple years ago, Brian Ortega was fighting on the regional scene. His mother had a dream that he won, I think, by submission in the third round. This is constantly how he's lately been winning. This is
third in a row.
Yes, it is, man. This has been going on since the regional scene, and this is all based off his mother's dream. I think.
So you're talking about like some spiritual intervention in this fucking deal, LaRa?
Listen, man. Your mama has a dream. It comes true, and it's continued to come true throughout his whole career. He gets his ass whipped for the entire fight, and then in the third round, he mustered out some crazy finish. Like it's. I pick Moicano.
The Waterboy's mom said that Mom was always right from the Waterboy. I ain't gonna argue with Mama if she had a dream about it.
Mama had a dream, man. And I picked Moicano, but when I was making my DraftKings teams, I was like, Mama had a dream, boy. I had 100% Moicano, and I was like, well, you know what? If he wins in the third round, he'll probably have around the same amount of points, so I don't care. The way he's looking at weigh-ins and stuff, he should get his ass kicked, right? And he was. But Mama had a dream, and we always must remember this. No matter what happens to Brian Ortega, you better know in the third round, Mama had a dream, man.
He was getting his ass kicked. And, I mean, it was looking like I was literally typing a fucking message to Miguel about, hey, fucking thanks for the pick. I wanted to mail him a couple 20s. You know what I mean? And then this fucking happens. Oh, man. Hey, I wish I would have talked. If I would have talked to LaRa, he's going to put the situation to rest. There was no fix-in. This is some, it's either Mama's will and combined with some divine intervention or some combination of something out of this world. But, yeah.
I'm a believer in it, man.
We're light in the pocket.
I don't pick against Ortega, even if I believe he's going to lose, man. I think he'll find a way to pull it off. Speaking of, let's go into one of the next interesting fights, the hottest body in the UFC, Tanya Evans. I'm just kidding. Tanya Evans took on Christine Cyborg, and did she mess up some people's money in Vegas? Because she lasted to the third round. How many C-notes did she burn up this weekend? Really tough. I think if Cyborg can get in there with somebody that's well-rounded and talented, I think they can take her. I mean, I don't think she's that unstoppable, especially she couldn't stop Evans.
Hey, Leroy, I'll say this because I don't know if you guys listen to MMA Junkie at all. So there's always been this fun stuff. We joke around about it. I call it Coach Stradamus, and I always make these predictions. And at first we're just joking around, but then it ends up happening. Like a year ago when we had said we were all drunk at the MMA Roadshow, and then I said, I bet you they're going to make Dan Henderson versus Michael Bisping 2 over anything else. And then we were all just like laughing because we all thought it would be ridiculous, but it would happen. And then it happened, right? Then I predicted the Mayweather-McGregor fight, so we joke around about that. I predicted that Dana White would get into boxing before 2017. So it's just funny. So here's my prediction for us talking about Cyborg. You see, and this is where I talked about this. I thought it was pretty weak that Jermaine Durandamine kind of punked out and vacated the belt because she didn't want to fight Cyborg.
I'm not sure Megan Anderson didn't punk out too.
Cyborg.
I don't know. But I know for a fact Jermaine punked out.
She was seen deadlifting like 400 pounds, man.
No, it doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Look, Connor's about to get his ass whooped. He didn't punk out. I get that he's making the most money he's ever made to get an ass whooping, but he didn't punk out. Jermaine would have made the most money she would have ever made to fight Cyborg. She punked out. That's just plain and simple. Now, this was my whole point about that whole thing. Is I was saying, look, woman, it's already hard enough if you're a female fighter. They just created the first ever 145 championship. You won the belt because your cheating ass got lucky beating Holly Holm after punching her after the bell after a couple of rounds. And now you have the audacity to punk out of a Cyborg fight? It's like, no, man, I'm not rolling with you. That's not right. I don't care if you don't like me.
I'm going to turn. I'm going to go left on them and tell you.
No. So here's my prediction. Okay, so here's my prediction. So here's my prediction, guys. I thought that Holly Holm should have won that 145 belt anyways. And Holly Holm's style, and Texas folks who watch Legacy, you've seen it. Holly Holm is kind of a counter-fighting, move back, straight line, use her left straight or her left jab to set up her kicks, but she kind of baits you in to come in. Well, what Cyborg does is she comes forward all the time. And if you guys watch Access...
Oh, she's coming in.
Yeah. Cyborg lost to Jarena Bars in a lion fight. So if you were asking me to make a match, and I was like, I don't know, man, Holly Holm's a bad match for Chris Cyborg. If you put that fight together at 145, and the money line says, like, plus 1,800 or plus 900 for Holly Holm, dude, I'm betting Holly Holm because Holly Holm can hurt you. Holly Holm could for real hurt you. And I already know Chris Cyborg could get knocked down because I saw Jarena Bars do it. So if you put that fight together, and that's my prediction, Laura, my prediction is the UFC will put Holly Holm versus Chris Cyborg as the next title defense, and it'll happen before the year's over. And everybody's going to be like, wow.
I actually am picking Holly Holm to upset Cyborg too. The only thing was to be the takedowns. If she can stop that, she's the better striker. Kevin Jones,
well, she stopped. I'm gonna tell you what, man. She stopped Ronda Rousey, right? She stopped Ronda Rousey. Real quick,
I'm gonna tell you what. All right.
Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
So I'm gonna go left on him, man. Check it. The line on that fight, dude. If they sign that fight, it'll be 10-1 for Cyborg and plus 600. Maybe more, maybe a hair more than that coming back on Holly Holm. There'll be money coming in on it'll keep it around there, man. I think Holly Holm. I think, like, I hear what you're saying totally, but
I lost Kevin.
Yeah, what Chris Cyborg wants to do is come in there. She'd have to catch her. She would have to catch her with the punch. You'd have to catch her with a punch when she was coming in. Yorina Bars is a different beast, man. And then that's Muay Thai. She's throwing them long ass legs at her. I mean, any woman in the world would go in there and lose against Yorina Bars, man. She's the shit. But I'm not liking that, Holly. I'm thinking Cyborg. My prediction is Cyborg runs this shit for several more years before she hangs it up, man. I don't think anybody can touch her, man. I've been watching her for a long time, and she is such a different animal than anybody else that's ever been fighting, I think.
All right.
I can't remember the point I was going to make. I'm sure it was a joke.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Anybody got anything else to say about this situation?
No, I was just gonna say, mad respect. You're right, Kevin. I mean, mad respect to Chris Cyborg. She is a badass.
Yeah,
I'm just
no
saying,
doubt.
If you guys want to see a challenge, I think Holly Holm. Holly Holm is the Ronda Rousey slayer. So can you imagine if she goes in there, fights Chris Cyborg, and slays her too? I mean, shit. You could argue that Holly Holm might be the greatest female MMA fighter. You know what I mean?
And
I think
Holly Holm seems to fight the best against the best. I bet you she'll step up to the plate. She seems to fight down to.
She fights to the level of her competition, definitely.
Yes, and that we've never seen her fight better than against Ronda Rousey. Robbie Lawler versus Dana White fucked up. He's a fuck up. Robbie Lawler versus Daniel Cerrone was only 3 rounds. What are you doing, fuckhead? That's supposed to be 5 rounds. You messed up a great fight. That fight was just getting started. I really liked it. But if it were 2 more rounds, it would have been epic. We'd be talking about it like, even more. It would have been epic. With all capital letters. So Dana White, fuckhead.
I'm surprised it didn't get fight of the night, did it? It should have, right, guys? Did it get fight of the night?
The girl fight best. That was the best.
You got to give it the main event.
Current
I don't know.
There's
good. So many great fights. Tyron Woodley versus Damian Maia. This was a barn burner. Hey, wait a minute.
I want to hear what Kevin Jones got to say about
Tyron Woodley. Is my nigga, man. I'm from St. Louis.
Tyron Woodley? I'm cutting for him, bro.
I love Tyron, but apparently Tyron hurt his labrum, so he didn't have an arm to fight with. So that's why it looks so bad. So we got to take some steam.
Okay,
off
what
Tyron.
round did he? What round did he hurt the labrum?
I'm not
sure. What round?
Or did he come into it? Did he come into?
Well, I'm gonna tell you. I'll tell you what, Mr. Reyes, you can cut for this, man. Fighter named Brandon Farron from for Ron. He's from somewhere around, but he trains out of Abilene or had for a while. He's done a little kickboxing, a little Bellator, a little boxing, man. And he told me in this MMA game, so you coming into a fight, you're always hurt. Nobody's 100% coming into these fights. You know what I mean?
Right. That's very true. 100% true.
And on Tyron Woodley, man, the dude does what it takes to win. You know, he's making very good points when he's doing these interviews this week.
No,
he said, man,
look,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's fighting. He's fighting whoever they fucking throw at him. And the promoters, the promoters, man. I mean, they got a point to make. I'm getting into the GSP thing, man, because that's my biggest beef on this deal. Because from West Texas, man, your word's your bond. You look at a dude and shake his hand, man. That's as good as signing anything or handing over money. You know what I mean? And he gonna look at Tyron Woodley in his face and tell him, if you win this fight, you're getting GSP. But it does make total business sense. The flip side of it, that's fucked up to do that to him, right? The flip side, though,
I don't know. Wait a minute. I mean,
I don't know, dude.
A lot of fans were pissed.
If you put
so
GSP versus Biz, I'm gonna end with this. When you put GSP on the business side of the deal, you put GSP versus Bisping. GSP's gonna beat Bisping. He got a hell of a lot better shot at it than it's a coin flip fight with Tyron Woodley, man. The way he fights his fights, he's very good at making you fight his fucking fight, which is what it's all about. That's 101, man. If you can do that, you are going to fucking win most of the time. Now, fucking GSP comes in there. It's a lot harder to do against Woodley. Against fucking Michael Bisping, that guy's slower. He's older. And plus, GSP is already bigger. So it's going to be a lot bigger to come in there and see how the weight cut goes for this one, and then go down and fight again. The fight against Tyron Woodley is probably not going anywhere. He's been dominating everything they've thrown at him, and I don't know why anybody's doubted him since he slept with Lawler. You know what I mean?
Right. I wouldn't doubt him.
Right. Well, okay. Well, here, I'll flip it on you guys, all right? Because I do like Tyron Woodley, and keep in mind, guys, I was at Wild Card Gym, Tyron Woodley was coming there too. So I used to watch and see Tyron Woodley come in barefoot at Wild Card Boxing Gym doing his mitts with Eric Brown. And I love Eric Brown. He's a great guy, great coach. So if we're just talking about the Maia fight, okay, I don't know about you guys, but have you ever seen a UFC fight in any UFC where the entire arena was chanting boring? Like, can you guys
have you been to a fight in Oklahoma? Have you ever been to a fight in Oklahoma, Mr. Reyes?
No, not yet. I'd
that
like
crowd
to
will take the cake. That's the word. You know what I mean? I've definitely been to that fucking deal. Oklahoma's the craziest, dude.
I think they've done it before. I think they might have done it for Shamrock, like Severn. That was a horrible.
So,
fight.
Steve, that was a long time ago.
They'll do it for
right?
a prelim out
That
there.
was a long time ago.
And the beautiful thing is that Woodley didn't give a shit. He just stuck with his game plan and didn't fall into that trap.
Maybe if he had,
that's what you got to do.
It looked like he was going to knock him out, but I guess he tore his labrum, so he couldn't do it. So
Right.
I'm giving him the BOD, benefit of the doubt.
I'll give him a benefit of the doubt.
I was mad at Woodley. I was like, that was not you supposed to finish this guy, man.
Yes, and I'm with you. See, Laura, I'm with you because for me, I'm like, look, bro, you already knocked him down, and I get it. Like, look, if you hurt your arm, okay, fine. You did do a good job of defending the takedown, okay, fine. But if you fight Robbie Lawler and you do a bullshit run around, not try to fight him out like Cerrone,
he's gonna make it a fight.
Then you know what I mean?
That's the fight to make.
Look, the problem with Woodley, in my opinion, is this: he fought now. Again, guys, keep in mind when I say this, I'm a karate guy. So when I thought the first fight in New York, I thought Stephen Thompson won that fight. A lot of people argue me about it. I just think Stephen Thompson won that fight. Second fight,
he was the pick.
I know it was a draw. It was a draw the first fight. Second fight,
but he was the pick.
I still thought Stephen Thompson won that fight. Again, I'm seeing it from a karate eye, so there's certain things that I don't believe the judges are recognizing that should be scored as points, but that's okay. You know, MMA is a young sport, so they're still kind of figuring it out. And hell, man, in boxing, judges fuck up all the time. I mean, look at the Pacquiao-Horn fight that just happened. So I get it. All right, but
I had a point for Horn, man.
No, I'm telling you, dude, it's crazy, bro, crazy. Them judges are crazy.
I hadn't scored like that.
You know. So, but check this out, right? So Woodley, let's just take the last fight against Wonder Boy before Maia. He did kind of not really initiate the action in the Wonder Boy fight, and he pretty much did the same thing. He was like, well, I didn't want to get in Stephen Thompson's wheelhouse of knowing how to do that karate because he's a great counterfighting, blah, blah, blah. So he kind of did the same thing against Maia. He didn't want to jump. He didn't want to get in the wheelhouse of Damian Maia's jiu-jitsu. Okay, I get it. All right, let's say you tore your labrum. All right, I get it. If you fight Robbie Lawler and you run around like that, dude, that's it. You're done. It's like, come on, man. Make it a fight. Knock out Robbie Lawler, people will forget all this shit. But if you don't fight Robbie Lawler because you're scared to get knocked out by Robbie Lawler, then and then you steal a decision again, then yeah, you are kind of sort of like the most boring fighter out of the champions because, you know, like we realize all your good things. We realize it all.
I knew that fight could have been a shit fest. It had shit fest written all over it.
Yeah.
Damian Maia is not a bad striker. Tyron Woodley's not a really good one.
Man, well, he did step in and lead with that lead. I mean, he was looking for the lead lift all night. He only connected a couple times in the first couple rounds, and then once or twice in the last round. Man, I mean,
but if
his
Anderson
approach,
Silva didn't knock Damian Maia out, we shouldn't have expected Tyron Woodley.
His approach is to set up the takedown, man. You know what I mean? And he was trying to get him to move to that outside. And if you notice, like 101 fighting the southpaw is obviously you keep your lead foot out of their lead foot, and he kept it outside. The whole time that he was outside of him, he kept his foot on the inside, and he only got barely to the outside when he came in there. I think Maia was trying to push him to that fucking to make Tyron move to his left, and that was his plan for the takedown. Tyron did a great job at not fucking doing anything that this guy wanted to do. He recognizes all this shit, man. That was my biggest take on the fight. And you can't, born or not, dude. You're fighting Damian Maia. He needs a wrist. He just need one of your fingers, dude. He sucks you in there. the round's over. If not, the fight's over. You know what I mean?
And I was surprised it ended up going all 5 rounds too. I mean, Maia, after how many takedowns did he try? 24 or something like that?
24. He was over 24.
Man.
Yeah, something like that.
And to know crazy. After all that energy it took, you know, how couldn't Woodley take him out? You know, he has something other than his arm. What did Greg Jackson say to GSP when he tore his groin in between rounds a few years ago? You remember that? I think he said, "Hit him with your groin. I don't care."
That sounds like something Greg Jackson would say. Yeah. That motherfucker
Greg
about
Jackson
winning.
seems like a weirdo to me sometimes, but I think it's good.
Have you been to Albuquerque? St. Louis ain't nothing like Albuquerque. They call it Albuquerque down here. You know what I mean? It's a wild town
but
out
it's
there.
just his corner man speak. It's really creepy at times. But go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
No, I finished my point. I hear what you're saying.
Oh yeah, no shade on Greg Jackson. Love Greg Jackson, but the speeches he gives in these corners but I guess he knows his fighters. It's bizarre sometimes.
Definitely knows what motivates them.
Main event: Jon Jones versus Daniel Cormier. Daniel Cormier got spanked and he cried like a hoe after he got spanked.
That's what's up. I'm glad you said that, man. But don't feel bad for saying that. Why are we supposed to feel bad for fucking clowning Daniel Cormier, dude? You know, I got a disdain for the guy, man. He's the type of guy that kicks a guy. He's the type of guy that'll kick a man while he's down, and he's done it over and over. Now, this whole thing started, Jon Jones, and he said this shit in the interview. I was saying it before he had said it. He's the type of guy, man, that if he's going to start fucking with you, he goes all the way. And he was having a little fun with Daniel Cormier. He saw that he was a little sensitive fucking guy, and he kept poking him. And he knew exactly how to do it. And he said, however he put it in the thing, he said, I go all in. He said, I don't ever say anything bad about the people I'm fighting, if you notice, until they say something about me. And they were asking him to talk shit about Gustafsson. They were trying to goad him into it. But anyways, dude, that's exactly what happened. And that's why this whole beef came about. And it made for some great fights. But the fact of the matter was, man, Jon Jones is the best dude we've ever seen done it. And I thought, on an Anderson Silva level, I'll tell you what, I love
Jon Jones
seeing,
is the second best guy we've ever seen.
Who do you say is the best guy we've ever seen?
Demetrius Johnson.
Who's the
real quick? Last point was DC. Fucking don't feel bad about making fun of DC. This fucking guy was fucking with this, pulling the. You know, you don't kick a man while he's down. Talking about his legal problems and all this shit, dude. He did it over and over and over, and that's all he had. He's really corny shit talker, and so he can't come up with nothing else. And for us to make fun of him because he cried like that, and people getting on to folks posting me, man, fucking have some fun with this guy, dude. He's been fucking pulling the cat out the bag on Jon Jones left and right. So let's not have any sympathy for DC at this moment.
If DC had, if he had some muscles and he was like 4 inches taller, he would be a superstar. He played the heel role very well in this event.
Send me some candy and nuts for Christmas, baby.
He's excellent on the mic, man. He sold this fight really well. I love DC. He's got one of the best fight selling minds on the UFC roster. He knows what to say. This was one of the best hype fights ever. Like, the video package was excellent. These guys did really great at selling the fight from a standpoint of trash talk and everything like that, which most fighters don't do. I really felt the emotions and everything. I was just DC.
It was 100% authentic, and that's what I loved about it.
No doubt.
Yeah, I loved it. And I was messing with DC. DC is probably the second best light heavyweight of all time.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
The only reason I say Jon Jones is not the best fighter in the world is because I believe he has deficiencies in his boxing, which show up against fighters that are his height and his size. Now, we've got a boxing trainer right here on the show. Angelo Reyes, do you think that Jon Jones has boxing deficiencies? Because I think that he dominates because with his striking, or just overall because of his wrestling and his length. But
superior athleticism too.
Yeah, I mean, Jon Jones is another beast, guys, and he's still growing. I mean, the thing about Jon Jones is, like he said, he was handed the championship when he was 23, and I'll actually argue and say that I do think he's the best of all time at this point, because because we're talking
He's
about
32.
We're talking about a sport that hasn't been around as long as boxing. So within that history, I mean, look at the list of names that Jon Jones has defeated. I mean, just look at all the list of names. We can't. I know. I understand the Demetrius Johnson argument. I do, but it's kind of like you telling me, well, who's the better fighter in your eyes? Chocolatito Gonzalez, who was the 115-pound champion before he lost his last fight, or Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, yeah, I get that Chocolatito's got 43 wins or whatever, but look at all the people that Floyd Mayweather beat. And that's the same thing as with Jon Jones. He was beating Machida. You know what I mean? Like it was like bang, name, another name, another name, another name, another name. And here's the thing that's crazy. Jon Jones was doing it while he was troubled. Yeah, I'll just say the word troubled. He was in some troubled waters, and now he's not. And we just saw what it looks like when he's serious. So at this point, when we're talking about, okay, who's the best pound-for-pound fighter right now? Who's the best pound-for-pound fighter right now? Who do you guys see that could beat Jon Jones at 205 right now? Go.
No.
Anyone?
Nobody.
Okay. Do you see
My biggest thing always about pound-for-pound is
Gustafsson could give him a good fight again, I think.
I think Gustafsson would get knocked the fuck out. I think Gustafsson would get knocked the fuck out by Jon Jones. Well, I'm not talking about the old Jon Jones. Like, how do we know how troubled, quote unquote, Jon Jones was when he fought Gustafsson anyways? I don't know.
I think he mentioned that he was out partying and drinking days before the Gustafsson fight or something like that. He's getting fucked up. So I can imagine focus Jon Jones might.
Oh no, dude. And then here's the other thing too. When we're talking about best pound for pound right now, currently, who at 185 can come up to 205 and beat Jon Jones? Anyone?
Chris Weidman could give him a fight.
But could beat him? Could beat him?
I don't know, right? But I know it'd be a hell of a fight, though. That'd be
okay. You see what I'm saying?
You talking
right? So now let's talk about heavyweight.
Oh, wait a minute. What about Yoel Romero? That would be an awesome fight.
I don't know, man. I think Jon Jones would smoke their asses too. And then now.
Yoel sucks. Yoel is very good at fucking analyzing what's going on in there and setting people up for shit and looking for it. And his problem has always been, I mean, you could take a look at the fucking guy. He looks like a starting middle linebacker, and he gets down to 185 pounds. You know what I mean? So I think and Weidman, I don't think he got a shot. Jon Jones, are you talking about him fighting these people that much smaller than him coming up?
No, okay.
Look how he dwarfed DC, you know?
Yeah. And now this is my point, and this is where I'm going to get at with why I believe Jon Jones is the best pound-for-pound fighter right now. Stipe Miocic, in my opinion, would be the hardest fight for Jon Jones moving up because of some of the things you guys have said about his holes in his boxing game. But again, Jon Jones' way of striking is a very different
I think he straight up said that he doesn't want
he
don't want any piece of that fight.
Okay, but here's my point. If Stipe moved down to 205, if Stipe said, you know what, fuck this, I'll move down to 205 and fight Jon Jones, would you guys want to see that fight?
No. I want to see him versus Overeem. I want to see him versus Overeem. I'm
gonna watch any fight. I'm a degenerate.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd watch.
No.
I'm gonna watch two fish fight in a fucking fish tank if we got $5 on it. You know what I mean?
No, but here's my point to the whole Demetrius Johnson. TJ Dillashaw, who wasn't even the champion, did say, "Hey man, I'll come down to 125 and fight Demetrius Johnson," and Demetrius Johnson said no. So to me, again, I love DJ. I think he's amazing. But if we're just saying pound for pound, I got to put Jon Jones just right above DJ.
My
argument's
always been on any pound for pound list ever since what is Sugar Ray is the guy that they started doing this shit about, and then it got to be a really big deal when I was a kid with Roy Jones. He's the best pound for pound dude. Now,
he might have been.
My thing about pound for pound list has always been, you know who pound for pound the best motherfucking fighter in the world is? the heavyweight champion of the world. That's it. Whoever's the biggest fucking, we're talking pound for pound. And Stipe, at the moment, man, you can't not say that at heavyweight, you got to give him a shot at it. You know what I mean? But John Jones,
I believe it.
We're being real about it, John Jones. But because he's so big, like just what Mr. Reyes is saying, it's the fact that I loved what Demetrius Johnson does and the things that he does in the cage are shit that nobody else can do or does do or has ever done. But he's still, at the end of the day, the things that John Jones does, no one ever did at 205. You know what I mean? So you got to give him the edge in that category.
Unfortunately, we're also living in an era where some of the champions are cherry picking their opponents, which makes it tough. I'm not saying Jones hasn't done that, though.
In the UFC, I think you got to put a lot of blame of that on the promoters too, man. They're trying to, and the thing with DJ, he's not ducking TJ Dillashaw. He'll beat the brakes off fucking TJ Dillashaw at his weight. But he got a point with sticking to his guns on the Ray Borg thing and dealing with these promoters in the UFC. And again, like Mr. Reyes said about it, it's 20. He points out a lot of good points I've been saying for years, man. This sport is 25 years old. It's never going to be boxing. They made a conscious effort for the first 20 years of it to not be anything like boxing. And because of that, we're kind of in this conundrum where we got the promoters controlling every goddamn thing. And they're the ones that are going to be out there flexing their muscle and dissing fighters. You'd never hear a guy in boxing dissing a fighter that he still was under contract with that was trying to make money off of. You know what I mean? It's so different and it'll never be the same. But it's kind of like apples to oranges comparison, you know?
I think Dana White did that to Tito though, man. Like Dana White he's not the smartest, brightest guy in the world. He'll get on the mic and say some dumb shit. That's what he does. He constantly
that's what he does.
He's a bridge, you know what? He's a fucking terrorist. That's what he does.
For real. He just looked at Tyrone Woodley in his fucking face and told him he was going to fight GSP if he won this fight. And
he also fucking
said 24 hours after the fucking thing,
GSP is fighting fucking heels on.
Homeland Security needs to get on Dana White because he burns bridges and he's a danger to society.
He might be a fucking terrorist.
Here's what I'll say about here's what I'll say about Dana
I heard
White.
he was converted.
Here's what I'll say about Dana White, and here's keep in mind, guys, I'm familiar in the boxing world in the sense that I've seen how Bob Arum does shit. I've seen how Don King does shit. I've seen how all these people do it. I think what makes the UFC and what makes them continue to push forward as an elite organization is Dana White's passion. He is a passionate person. So I think a lot of times that passion, he won't be politically correct. He'll say what's on his mind and he'll just say it, you know, and sometimes maybe it's not strategical. Maybe he's just like, you know what? You were fucking boring. I'm not going to give you GSP. And he says it just like that because you guys remember like Cyborg was feeling terrible. And then just recently, Dana said, you know what? We haven't done Cyborg right. We're going to make a better effort to do Cyborg right. And then now he's making an effort to do Cyborg right. You know what I mean? Like I think like sometimes Dana just says shit because it's what
sometimes
he's feeling at the time. You know,
Dana's a trip.
You know,
Dana's a trip. And going back to these boxing, I wouldn't call them press conferences. And I'm talking about this fight I won't speak of. There was more like stand-up comedy routines between two shitty comics. And no, there wasn't any press asking questions, which is kind of the definition of a fucking press conference is we get to ask you what the fuck's going on about this fight, right?
Right.
So shit, man, now I'm getting off my point. I think these bears got on top of me, but the fucking Dana White, the stuff he says is organic, man. And if you listen to a boxing promoter talk, you see him in a gym, they're always wearing a fucking suit. Dana White wears a T-shirt every fucking where he goes, which I ain't saying. I mean, you're the boss. You can do whatever the hell you want. The guy gets a ton of money, but they all could wear T-shirts. How many of them do? You know, you want to be professional on thing, and he speaks like he dresses. And so if you watch these any boxing promoter, if you see him in a gym and they catch him with the camera, you could tell they're thinking very hard about what they say. He doesn't think about what he says. You know?
No,
what I mean?
he just says it. He just says it. He just blurts it out.
He is impulsive. Speaking of boxing, though, let's get into this interview with Leo Kuntz. I've got the only participant in a known or documented fixed mixed martial arts fight. Since we're talking about the boxing world, let's get right here, right now. Leo Kuntz interview. We'll be right back after that. Leo Kuntz, welcome to the School of BlackNegroJItsu. It is an honor to have you here today, American Top Team member. Before we get into everything, I just wanted you to introduce yourself to everybody. Tell everybody a little bit about your background, where you from, how you got into fighting, what you're doing now. I don't think you're any longer in the UFC. So go ahead and tell everybody about what's going on with Leo Kuntz.
Well, basically, I mean, I've been in Florida here now on and off for about the past 3 years. When I first signed when I first got signed by the UFC, I moved my training camp down here, and it's just been like a perfect fit at ATT for me. I love it. I mean, it's a great team. They won Fighter's Choice Gym of the Year last year, so I mean, it's just a great place, great place to be training at. Like I said, I love everything about it, and plus the South Florida weather. I mean, it's really, really tough to beat the South Florida weather. So I mean, I'm feeling really comfortable here in South Florida. Originally, I'm from North Dakota, and so that's where I spent most of my time fighting and growing up and things like that. And since I've been down here in South Florida, my training has been definitely at another level, and it's great. I love it.
Okay, and you are of Korean heritage. Am I not mistaken?
Yep, that's correct. Actually, I'm half German and half Korean by ethnicity. It's kind of.
Is this a long story that you're willing to tell, or a shortened story that you can't tell, or how did this happen?
I can tell. I'm willing to tell, but it's a very short story. Very short story. My mom was adopted when she was young from Korea, and then she was brought. Her parents lived on military bases, teaching English and things like that, and then eventually they moved back to North Dakota. And my dad just randomly happened to meet her in North Dakota, where my German family, they settled in North Dakota, the German side of my family. So I have lots and lots of family in North Dakota. And it just so happened my dad met my mom in North Dakota. She happened to be from Korea. So
very, very interesting, because you look more like a white guy than a Korean guy. But I remember for your Tai Hyun Bang fight, they were talking about you were going I guess to see family over there and whatnot, and I was like, yeah. Leo Kuntz doesn't look anything like a Korean. Apparently, he is. All right, and now that's one of the most interesting fights in UFC history, because of course and I know that is one of the only fights that has really in UFC history that can be confirmed as being that was supposed to be fixed.
Yeah, it's actually the only. It's actually the only confirmed fight fixing in the UFC. Whether it's happened before or not, that's another that's another topic up for debate. But this is the only confirmed instance of fight fixing in the UFC. I mean, it's not necessarily what you want to be, it's not necessarily something you want to be a part of, but at the same time, any type of press like that's good press. So anytime my name's pushed, it's great. So
now let's tell everybody a little bit about that. Tai Hyun Bang was the favorite at first, and you were a massive underdog. I believe you were like a plus 200 some underdog, and you went from a plus 200 underdog to like a negative 300 favorite. Let me check my.
Up to that point, I know for sure it was the largest odds swing that the UFC had seen. And I mean, I'm not a sports bettor. I don't know anything about sports betting. I play some poker, but other than that, I don't do any type of gambling or sports betting. But apparently when the odds swing like that, it's usually because there was a huge bet that came in on somebody, and then that's what happened. The Korean organized crime placed $1 million US bet on me, And then Bang also placed like a $50,000 bet on me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This was like the day before the fight.
And then Bang, Bang ended up winning. But let me read the odds here to you, man. You opened. Now this is absolutely, and this is why they actually pulled, because I play DraftKings, me and my buddies online, and we were up early that morning, and we saw this massive swing in the odds, and so you went from a plus 140 underdog to a negative 475 favorite in less than 24 hours. That is absolutely astronomical. That led to the books pulling the fight. Were there any weird instances or anything weird that happened that day? That maybe officials came up to you and were worried about the fight or had questions for you. Tell us how that day was when that massive odds swing happened, when you heard about it, and what did you? Because you said you're not into betting. What did you think about that? Because honestly, I thought it was BS. I heard my friends online talking about the fixes in. You know, everybody put Leo Kuntz in your lineups. No offense, I had Bang to win. But I was like, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But it ended up that the fix was in, and it was a very close fight anyway. I think what did you lose that fight? 29-28?
Yeah, I went to a split decision. I mean, it was pretty close split decision.
Very close. So even though the fix was in, though, I was like, nah, it's BS. I can't see a fix being in, but it was, and they weren't actually on BS. And
well, here's.
Go ahead, tell your side though. What happened that day? Tell me what that was like. What the officials said.
Here's the story that I got. Okay, first off, the UFC high ups came and talked to both of us before the fight. Because I was the new favorite in the fight, I mean, they pretty much, had very little suspicion about me, about any type of fixing from my side of it. But they came and told me, they're like, hey, this is unprecedented odds swing. We just want you to know that there's going to be a lot of, scrutiny on this fight if it looks like either one of you is not trying to win this fight. And at this point, what my cornerman had told me is they're like, there was something leaked that Bang had, possibly had some injuries, or, someone was saying he had the flu and some stuff like that. So there was all these, that's what I had assumed was going on, is that there was some rumor leaked about his health or injuries or something. Well, later on, I never even actually found out about all this until one of my contacts from Road FC, which is a Korean-based promotion, they contacted me because Tae-Hyun Bong actually turned himself in to the Korean law enforcement because he got scared. This is what he said in some testimony of his, or this is what he said in an interview.
And this is pre-fight.
No, this is all after. Well, what happened is pre-fight, the UFC came and talked to him and to me, both of us. I'm sure what they told him was much different than what they had talked to me about, because the odds had swung in my favor, because huge bets came in on me, So I'm sure what they had told him was a lot different than what they had told me. And what he told the Korean authorities is that he got scared, that the UFC scared him, and he decided to not throw the fight. Made a last-minute decision to not throw the fight. That's why he ended up turning himself in almost a year later, because he was now fearing for his life from the Korean organized crime.
Because that morning, I had heard people talking about, I don't think it's called the Yakuza. I think that's the Japanese organized crime gang. But they were talking about, Yakuza and all this type of stuff. I said, no way. Now, was there a specific round he was supposed to throw the fight in? Because that was a very close fight. That he almost didn't win.
That I don't know. That I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I have no idea. All I heard is my contacts in Road FC contacted me because they were a little bit concerned if I had any involvement in this, which, I mean, obviously I had nothing to do with any of this. So, but they were just concerned because they wanted to get my side of the story. So they contacted me once the news broke in Korea that Bang had contacted Korean authorities, Korean law enforcement, and basically spilled the beans on everything because he was getting death threats from these organized crime in Korea that he had, they gave him what he had told the Korean authorities is they gave him in advance $100,000 US. Mm-hmm. And they also bet the equivalent of $1 million US on me. And then Bang took half of the money that they gave him, half of that $100,000, and bet that on me as well.
And then he didn't take the dive. Interesting. Because I'm assuming if you're gonna fix a fight, that there would be a specific round that you want to take the dive in, because that's where the big money is the prop bets. If you do it in first or second round, because I mean, even if he wasn't planning to not lose that fight, he almost did, and I just would have to think he was supposed to dive in a round. So he didn't take the dive even after he placed $50,000 on you, huh? That is very interesting.
Because I mean, what the UFC had told me, is they're like, hey, they basically told me that we know something is up. That's what they told me. They're like, hey, we know something is up. I didn't realize that that when money comes in like that it changes the odds. So I had no idea what was going on. But the UFC basically came in and they're like, hey, we know something is up. So I have no idea what they told Bang, but I know for sure they talked to both of us like right before we're getting ready to do our walkouts.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Like yeah, I'm talking like an hour before I'm getting my hands wrapped, and some real high ups from the UFC come in and basically tell me like, hey, this is what's up.
All right.
And
now, Road FC, is that an organization in Korea?
Yeah, that's a Korean-based promotion. Yep, they're based out of.
You signed with them now. Are you worried about fighting in Korea after the controversy with the Bang fight and everything surrounding that? Or are you?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's all, for me, it's all water under the bridge. I mean, I haven't been contacted by any Korean law enforcement. All of my contacts with Road FC, say everything's good to go. They were just a little concerned when the news first broke. They just wanted to make sure I wasn't involved at all, and things like that. So I mean, I actually love fighting in Korea. Road FC has been nothing but good for me, nothing but good to me. It's a great opportunity. I mean, they're putting up $1 million for this lightweight tournament. The champion. Well, the champion actually is going to win $200,000, and then you fight their current champion for $800,000.
Okay, and Road FC. I'm not really. I'm getting a little feedback there. You might want to turn it down a little bit. But Road FC is it focused on the lighter weights? Is that what the organization revolves around?
No, they even have an open weight division.
Oh, really? Very interesting. So,
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's old school, huh?
Yeah, they even have an open weight division. I'm not sure what their plans are for their upcoming, if they're planning on having any upcoming tournaments or anything like that. This is the first tournament of this caliber that they've had. Why at 155? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe that's where they think that they have their most skilled guy. Maybe they might think that their 55-pound champion is one of their better fighters. I'm not 100% sure, but I mean, no matter what the reason is, even if I was still in the UFC, there's no way I'd have the chance of seeing $1 million in a 10-month period unless I pull some Conor McGregor stuff. You know what I mean?
All right, and concerning like odds, or what do you think about your chances? What does the public think about your chances?
Well, I mean, that I'm really not too sure not too sure about, to be honest. But I know for sure that I'm one of the only UFC vets in the tournament. There's some Bellator guys, some M1 guys. You
Like
know, there's
who? Name
pretty
name
much
three.
everyone has. Well, my opponent Shamil Zavarov, he spent a little bit of time in Bellator. He also fought for M1. I mean, there's a couple other guys too who fought for some bigger promotions. But basically, everyone has their local belts. You know what I mean? For whatever wherever they are locally, you know, they have their champions there. You know, so that's kind of how they're promoting this, is bringing together champions from all over the world to compete for this $1 million. So
I see. So it's kind of like a tough, was that 24 with Demetrius Johnson. Being that you're gonna be, I guess, spending a lot of time in Korea, what's your favorite Korean dish? Like, or what's your favorite Korean dish? Where's your favorite place to hang out? Like, what are the things you enjoy most about Korean culture? What do you like over there?
Right now, of course, it's my family, you know, because I have a grandma and a cousin over there. So I love that. That's the biggest thing when I go to Korea, is I get to spend time with my grandma and my cousin. Other than that, like, the Koreans are really into social life. Not necessarily just like partying and going to the bars, but like eating and drinking together as friends and family is a huge thing in the Korean culture. And I myself, I'm a huge foodie. I love all different types of ethnic food. If I had to pick like one Korean dish, you know, it'd be real hard for me. There's one style of Korean food that's my favorite, which would be Korean barbecue, which is like they bring you, usually it's like a coal, it's usually hot coals. They set it right down at your table. Then they bring you the raw meat and you grill everything up yourself. It's all seasoned, marinated. And I mean, it's talking about it right now is just making my mouth water. I mean, it's like, that's
all right.
I love
and
it.
Is this
love
North
Korean
Korea or South Korea?
South Korea.
South Korea.
Yeah.
Okay.
North Korea. You don't go to North Korea. You can't even get into North Korea. North Korea is not a good place.
Okay. All right. Very interesting. And your fight is it the 14th?
15th. July 15th.
15th. Road FC. Oh, man. Oh, do I have any more questions for Leo Kuntz? Were you disappointed with your UFC run? I think you were. What?
Man,
1-2?
you know,
0-2.
0-2. 1-2. I mean, you know, I would have liked to have done better, but at that time, you know, when I first got picked up by the UFC, I was actually really close to retiring. I talked to my manager and I was like, hey man, if we can't make something happen here soon, you know, because I was just living in North Dakota, the gym that I was training at there was no longer around. So, I mean, I wasn't even training at a gym when I got the call to go to the UFC. And then I immediately came down here. I did a fight camp down here, one fight camp at American Top Team, 8 weeks before my first UFC fight. And other than that, I'd been training, you know, with a gym that used to be put together back home in North Dakota. And now, you know, so now I've been training at ATT for on and off almost 3 years. And I mean, I think I had plenty of fights, but I just never had a chance to train at some of these top level facilities. Like, my gym back home was great. They got me where I needed to be. You know, they were great. They're awesome, super supportive. But, you know, some of the guys that they have at American Top Team, as far as sparring partners, coaches, training partners, I mean, it's, you know, they're next level type stuff. And having been there for this long, I'm sure I'd do much better if I had another chance in the UFC. But right now, I'm super happy fighting for Road FC. I love it. Love fighting for them.
And how do you like the new American Top Team facility? Because I'm pretty sure you've been there long enough to have seen the old one and the new one. What's the biggest difference? What are the things that you think they provide that are so key? Do you have a nutritionist down there? Like, what are the services that make them so next level as you described?
Well, as far as nutrition, I do pretty much all that on my own. But I mean, you know, the next level stuff there, you know, mostly is a lot of it, is the coaching staff and your training partners. Like every time you go, every wrestling practice you're in, there's 10, 15, sometimes 20, 30 guys that are contracted in the UFC in your wrestling class, so you're rolling with those guys every day, sparring with those guys every day. Plus, the coaches, Mike Brown's one of the top coaches there, Steve Mockel. I mean, the list just goes, Dean Thomas, Steve Bruno. The list just goes on and on for the coaching staff. And the facility is like an Olympic training facility. It's huge. It's brand new. They got latest, equipment, and it's just, I love it there.
So you went to all the pro classes then, right?
Oh yeah, of course. That's yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. Because I know my roommate was explaining to me there was a separation. So some of the pros don't train at the pro class sometimes. So that's awesome. I don't think I have too much more for you, Leo. Thank you for contributing to the school BlackNegroJItsu today. Yeah, and if you got any shout outs or anything you got to say, go ahead right now.
Well, hey, I'd just like to say thanks to my gym and my training partners. Thanks to Road FC for giving me this great opportunity, and of course, my family and friends are there for supporting me and keeping me hungry. So, and thanks to you for having me on the show.
No problem, man. Hope to have you on again in the near future.
Sounds great, man.
Hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Road FC's Leo Kuntz, Korean heritage. But let's get into fixed fights, gambling, and the mafia in combat sports in general. That was that's something I think that happened with Leo Kuntz is going to happen a lot more in the future. We're going to start seeing, as the money pots get bigger, the popularity gets to be more, we're going to start seeing a lot more people taking dives. Because there's a lot more money in a dive than there is in a lot of these fight purses. A lot of times, if you could get $50,000 to $100,000 for a dive, and you're only getting 10 to show and 10 to win, I think I might think about taking a dive too. We saw Sonny Liston probably do it against Muhammad Ali. They say that Bruce Seldon did it against Mike Tyson. You're gonna start seeing a lot more of this in mixed martial arts. Guys, what do you think about fixed fights in mixed martial arts? It hadn't been so. I know Pride used to do it kind of for entertainment reasons. I think Crow Cop versus Alberto Del Rio was one of those. But what do you guys think of these fixed fights, and what's the future of mixed martial arts?
I'm gonna jump off on this on you, Lil Rob. Now, Pride definitely did it, and it wasn't for entertainment reasons for sure, man. I mean, those guys were made. Anytime you fix a fight, it's all about money. Now, the reason we're not going to see a lot of fixed fights in MMA and we don't see a lot of them is because you can't bet on a lot of them. If you look at like a Bellator undercard or these, I love watching Muay Thai. I can't get a line on a lion fight, any of the fights on the card. I can't get one anywhere. I've looked all around. Because the popularity of it, whenever it grows, you're going to see more of it. But it's going to take – the reason there's lines on every UFC fight is because they know the UFC has that integrity. They're in Nevada. They're making so much money for them people. They're not going to fuck with that. This isn't the first – I mean, I don't even know – what constitutes as a fixed fight? When they go to Seth Petrozelli's locker room before he fights Kimbo and tells him, hey, there's an extra $50,000 in for it if you don't take him to the ground. Or if they go to, there was an old fight with who was the Don Fry, the big guy with the mustache, and he had there was one of his fights where somebody went to his opponent's locker room and told him about the same thing. There's extra money for it if you stand and bang with him. So does that constitute as a fixed fight?
I think that's kind of normal though. People will always do that. Where the promoter will go to somebody, hey, you don't do this, here's your bonus. That's not really
under the table fight. Incentives.
Yeah, that's an incentive. But
when you're paying the guy,
I need you to go down in this round, I give you 50. That's a fixed fight. Because usually,
that's 100%. That's 100%, coach.
The fix is in. So, yeah, man, I don't understand why Ty Him Bang did what he did. I guess he doesn't want to live too much anymore. If I take money from the mafia, I'm going down hard. I mean, he
said in the interview that he's fighting over there in Korea. So, I mean, he's going back over there and fighting and said Oh no, maybe it's something I read, but I mean, he has no fear about going over there and fighting.
He
ain't worried
huff
about it.
paint in Korea possibly or something like that?
Man, they huff paint on every continent of the world, baby, except Antarctica.
What I found,
dude, he's lost his mind.
What I found fascinating was once the UFC caught wind of the line movement, they actually met with the fighters in the locker room beforehand and chatted with them. That was pretty intriguing to hear.
Oh yeah. But I mean, because they took. If you weren't, I was playing DraftKings that morning. They took the line down, and a lot of guys in the community were thinking, "Oh, the fight is fixed." I was like, "You guys are full of shit. Like this is probably," but it was. And a lot of guys played a lot of Leo Kuntz because they were like, "The fight is fixed. He's going to win." Because look what they did to the line, and they played a lot of them that morning, and they were right on the ball. He was going to win. And yeah, it didn't end up happening, but that was the rumor. But yeah, it was true.
That's always a telltale sign, man. If something can happen, it can move the line quite a bit. Whether it's something the public saw in the masses or it's one guy, but when it's such a heavy hit, they have to take that bet in. And once word gets quick in that community, and when they pull a line, telltale sign that a fight's fixed. If it happens like right before fight time, I mean, it is. And if it happens way before that, maybe they were taking too much action. They're going to reevaluate stuff and put something out earlier to the fight.
I think Kuntz was saying that it may have been that Bang was sick or had a bad weight cut, something like that. So I could see something like that happening. But then where do you draw the line, and how do you find out what the real story is?
Yeah, but when they pulled that line, I didn't know it had to be something gargantuan because he went from like a plus 300 underdog to a negative 400 or 300 favorite. It was a massive movement on the line, so they just pulled it off and just took it off. But yeah, Tahim Bang is an idiot, man. I mean, they're gonna find him in pieces in somewhere. He's gonna end up in one of those Korean barbecue shops on a plate. So I don't know what he was doing. That was foolish, man. But we probably won't hear too much more from him.
We'll start writing a petition to Trump and see if we can get him an exception and get him over here. You know what I mean? We need to protect this guy, man.
Yeah, man.
He's a good dude. He's all right.
He's been hitting the head way too many fucking
and
times.
Trump's a fight fan, so I mean, I'm sure he might go for it.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. I wouldn't do it. Next up on topic is Floyd Mayweather's history of domestic abuse. Now, I got a theory. Floyd Mayweather's never been married. All of his domestic abuse incidences have been with his ex-girlfriend, baby mamas, or ex-girlfriend, baby mama's friend. And I don't know, but it's really odd to me that this dude is so gifted with connecting with people. So many people look up to him around the world. Didn't they it wasn't the Oxford Union, but they bring him in all around the world. He's a role model for so many young guys. I know his gimmick is as a heel character, and I think there's a special reason for that. Black champions have been notoriously hated throughout history. The most known black champions, though, Muhammad Ali, basically Floyd Mayweather, they played the heel character. They took that hate and turned it around and made it into money.
And put Tyson in it.
Okay, yeah, Tyson.
Yeah, we'll put him in it.
Okay, so Tyson. But Tyson was also a heel character.
Definitely. But
early in his career, I think it was because the menacing nature of his finishes, not so much his personality, but later in his career, as he lost Mickey Rooney and Cus D'Amato, it actually became his personality because he is a follower, not a leader, and went after them. But it's been really perplexing to me that Floyd Mayweather has this excellent social gift, but yet he's this menacing wife beater. And I've come to think that essentially he's just not the most well-prepared single father. Either he's paranoid and losing his head around his ex-baby's mamas. Sometimes his ex-baby mama's friends and family members are pulling him into things. But for all the security he has around him and for all the precautions he takes, why is he in the same place with his baby mama at times, who oftentimes is your worst enemy? As a matter of fact, I pulled up some statistics. It seems like kids of single parents and divorced or separated parents, they are about 10 times more likely, according to this study I'm looking at right now, and I'll tweet it out afterwards. National Survey of Children's Health. Divorced or separated mothers, 144 out of 1,000 see domestic violence. Never married mother, 116 out of 1,000. Both married biological parents, 19 out of 1,000. You're exponentially more likely to have conflict. Now, I've known a lot of people in single parent relationships, and I'm a product of one myself. I have never heard of a baby's daddy and baby's mama not getting into it. Do you guys think Floyd Mayweather is a wife beater? He's never beat a wife because he's never had one. Or do you think this is a natural product of single parent relationships? What do you guys think?
I mean, this is a human thing, man. I love the fact. First of all, LaRod, man, I love the fact that you brought this up. I listened to this so many times with all these different media people trying to be politically correct about this. You know what I mean? And that's the reason that less people watch ESPN every day. I hear it from people on the street, man. They don't even watch ESPN because it's not about the sports. It's all about their political sightings.
And
over
they're
there.
fucking sponsors. Why don't you give us some facts and some real talk, man? You know, it's bullshit. All right, go ahead, Kevin.
No, for real. But I mean, like, we're talking real about it, man. So check it out. I mean, if you want to talk about Floyd's background, I mean, you ain't even touched on the worst. I mean, the guy grew up in fucking Michigan, of all fucking places. You know what I mean? I hadn't even been half that far north, but I imagine it's got to be a terrible existence up there in Flint, Michigan. Like, no, he's from Grand Rapids, but I mean, hell, man, he's probably an industrial fucking cult. Yeah, I mean, and he bounced around from home to home. You know, the guy knows what he fucking seen. His dad's crazy as shit. If you listen to his dad and his uncle talk, of course the guy wasn't fucking set up for success. And not only that, he's been a fucking prodigy fighter since he was little bitty. He didn't fucking have to go to school, and people make fun of him for not reading. I'm pretty sure the fucking guy can read enough to fucking read, like, if he has to read something. You know what I mean? That's like it's a chicken shit thing to fucking bring up. He'd never had to read in his whole fucking life, so why fucking would he be that great at reading? I don't read. But the thing, because I don't like reading.
Here's the disconnect I see, Kevin, is that he connects with so many people. I mean, everybody. He's in every conversation. Yeah. He's got a social gift. So how could he be this terrible woman beater?
He's not.
I just don't get it. I think it's just drama with natural drama that occurs in single parent relationships.
I'll also say this: he has so much money, and he basically runs the towns that he lives in, and he thinks he can get away with whatever he wants. He may not want to settle down with one particular woman, but the thing that I was reading the police reports and stuff to try to get a feel for this before the podcast, and the thing that stuck out to me was he was obstructing with the police, and he was beating one of his girlfriends in front of his kids at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Or ex-girlfriend.
It was over a phone. Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. I got.
And then he had a good
that's
lawyer,
what I'll try to get the point I was getting to. The guy, who's to say what happened in any situation? You know what I mean? And I've not.
Oh, go ahead, Kevin. We lost you for like one.
Women, but I've dated a lot of crazy women, dude. Oh, well, listen, man. I mean, I'm big on not passing judgment on folks, and I know people that have not necessarily been involved in any legal proceedings about the fucking deal, but they've been in these type of relationships, dude. And it's if you've never been in one, if a lot of these reporters you see, I mean, there's all blue collar guys that like grew up in Connecticut and shit, dude. I mean, what the fuck do they know about dating a crazy ass woman? You know what I mean?
Not the other thing
and who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. And he's
who knows what happened? Who knows what happened when they were there?
Trained fighter.
Yeah.
Well, no doubt. I mean, and that's the thing. People got their different. This is a moral type of question. You know what I mean? And some people will get their past experiences. And on TV, you see a lot. They want to be politically correct about it. But I mean, who's to know what has happened or what happened before that or anything? Now, is it fucked up to do? Yeah, it's fucked up to do. No doubt about that. I'm not disputing that. But you never done any fucked up shit. You know what I mean? I mean, that's how I equated the whole John Jones thing and people saying he's such a piece of shit for this and that, dude. Well, I mean,
hold on, wait a minute, wait.
Unless you're living that type of deal, and living in that lifestyle, and that shit's coming into you, you can't judge people for what they do in the situation, man. I mean, unless the guy's really a piece of shit. And last thing I want to say, man, by all accounts, people I ran into when I'm out in Vegas, and people that had met him, and one guy I know his cousin that worked for him, and he's my dude down there in Fremont. If you want to get something special, you know what I mean. But they all say he's a great guy, and he tips well, and he's very friendly with everybody, like you were saying, man. I mean, he doesn't look to me, and that ain't say like, I mean, this ain't a Ted Bundy fucking equation, you know what I mean? He ain't he ain't that fucking guy.
You know what? Ted Bundy was fucking charming too, though. So maybe, you know, I don't know. Angelo,
I shouldn't have brought up Ted Bundy,
put in
dog.
on this? You're from Vegas. What do you think?
Yeah, no, you guys are cut. Yeah. No, you guys were cutting off a little bit, but I kind of heard the gist of it all, and here's my whole take on that. So I met Floyd in 2013. That was the year he was making his comeback for Robert Guerrero, I believe it is, right? And I got to tell you, man.
That's where he told him, how do you want it? I'll give it to you how you want it.
Yeah. So for me, I was coming from the Freddie Roach gym. I was, a little bit more team out group. And I literally have never been into Mayweather gym, and I'm thinking in my head, but let me go in there. And I was going in there because I was coaching on a hula time. So, and she's kind of the female. So, when we go in, I got to tell you guys, man, Floyd Mayweather was the nicest person. Like, I mean, I was taken aback at how super cool he was, and like, he knew Anna. He was like, "Hey, champ, anything you need," and he told and Mayweather Gym is a family-owned business. Uncle Gerald and Uncle John, who's the two guys that are running the place, he's like, "Hey, man, whatever the champ needs, you guys make sure it's all good." And from that point on, like I said, we got to see his private trainings when he was going against Guerrero. We got to watch it a little bit when he was going against Canelo and Floyd. I mean, I don't know if maybe prison changed them. I don't know. All I know is the Floyd. I can only judge people not based on what the media says, and I can't judge people based on, like, I can't judge the Hulk Hogan when he was pretending like he was the bad guy when he became Hollywood Hogan. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's an act. That's for entertainment. I can only judge you when I meet you personally, and I know how you are personally. I can't judge you any other way. And third, I mean,
Hold on, wait a minute. You cut out there the last couple seconds, Angelo.
But he's been nothing but respectful and super nice, and he's been.
I'm glad we got some Floyd love going on the show,
always
man.
respectful to everybody around him. So
I'm actually
surprised.
I think it's weird that he's the worst person in the world, but I'm gonna pay $100 for his next fight. Like, wait a minute, hold on now.
Well, no. See,
there wasn't a whole bunch that paid $100 to that Berto fight.
No, that here's the funny thing about that though, guys, is I think that okay, Mayweather-McGregor, let's not like sweep it under the rug, man. Mayweather-McGregor is Jerry Cooney versus Larry Holmes. We all know
it's a one-sided
we all know,
fest, man.
We all know what this is. But parts of this is going to be about. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Laurent, I'm sure you didn't like some of the shit that McGregor was saying. During the press conference.
No, I mean, because I'm a black guy. No, I didn't have no problem with it. I think Ireland is apparently racially very progressive. One of my cousins been there. It looks like a place I want to go. They seem like they love black people and everybody there. They're so lively, man. That's like the most.
You ever been to Boston, Leroy?
I hear it's very racist there, isn't it?
Irish motherfuckers there too. A lot of Irish. Someone asked me the other day.
Here's what I'm saying, man. Look, it's one thing if we're just joking around. Like, Laurent, if we're just joking around, we're sitting down, I say something, you say something to me about me being Filipino, I say something to you. We're just joking around, dude. It's you and me in a couch in a house. Nobody's listening. Right. But when you
nobody hates on
Filipinos,
that, bro.
Yeah. But here's what I'm saying. If you know for a fact that there's gonna be millions of people around the world listening to the shit you're about to say, I don't know, man. Not very PC to say some of that. Like I'm just saying, like. I don't know.
I don't think he was thinking about.
I love that fight promotion, man. That was the shit. It got everybody. Listen, even if it was like it got everybody.
It was a love or hate thing, but we all watched it, didn't we?
It's 50-year-old women at home, 50-year-old black women talking about. Did you hear what Conor McGregor said? That's fight promotion. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's gotta be, man. Somebody don't even give a shit about boxing. Talk about, did you hear what that boy said?
Right.
But speaking of McGregor-Mayweather, I think the likelihood of a McGregor-Mayweather upset just increased exponentially. Mayweather sent McGregor a Instagram post talking about let's fight
the 8-ounce gloves.
Not fucking smart, Floyd. You better stay in those kids,
dude. Man. Let me tell you something right
Commission
now.
will never.
Exactly. A commission would never allow 8-ounce gloves for a 154-pound fight. Now, if Conor McGregor wants to fucking lose another go down to 147, then they'll allow 8-ounce gloves. So if you wanted to change the deal and say, hey, we're going to fight at 147, that's fine. But I'm going to keep it real with you right now, man. Ain't no way. Look, 8-ounce gloves are worse for McGregor. It is not the other way around. See, look, man, don't buy hype, Floyd. Don't buy. Do you remember a guy by the name of Pretty Boy Floyd Mayweather? Pretty Boy? Well, Pretty Boy used to fight in 8-ounce gloves. Go look at what his knockout records is. Maybe the reason why he was hurting his hands sometimes is because he was hitting motherfuckers so hard, it was hurting his hands. That's what I'm saying. It's just like, nah, bro. 8-ounce gloves will be worse for McGregor. I mean, does McGregor want to get an ass beaten even worse? Because if I was him, I'd shut the fuck up and be like, hey, is it cool if we just stay at 16-ounce gloves? Since this is kind of an exhibition match anyways.
You think 8-ounce gloves are worse?
Dude, 8-ounce gloves. Look, when I went on an MMA Junkie, and I said Floyd's gonna knock him out in 3 rounds or less, and everybody was harping me on it. If they go to 8-ounce gloves, I for sure will say Floyd will knock him out in 8 ounce or less. Because 8-ounce gloves, man.
I'm very glad to hear you say that because I got in early, man. I know a lot of bookies that aren't even putting lines on this fucking fight yet. And there's things on the internet that are fluctuating, man. There's books that are taking them, but these hometown guys ain't taking them yet. I got a bet early in on a $130 minus 130 for under 9.5 rounds. When I seen this shit at 9.5 rounds, dude, Floyd will get. I think, honestly, dude, I think Floyd is gonna feel him out in the first round and a half, turn it on, and by the 4th round, if he comes out for the 4th round, man, I'm not sure he's coming out for the 5th. You know what I mean? I see him quitting on his stool,
right?
And if he doesn't quit on his stool and the corner doesn't stop it, dude, the ref will stop it. And if he doesn't hit the ground flat on his fucking back, snoring, then the ref is gonna stop it. He is gonna get within 5 rounds. He is gonna get so fucked up. He's gonna look like fucking Leonard Hagler and shit, dude.
Okay,
this shit's gonna get epic. This is gonna get an epic fucking face. I mean, the face is gonna be swelled up. You ain't gonna be able to recognize him if he goes more than fucking 6-7 rounds.
I don't think so, man. I think McGregor is destined to get the upset here. Floyd got greedy. I believe what McGregor
Do not put your money on it, my man.
Ken, do you think?
Please don't cost yourself no money on this fight.
Do you think this now?
Do not bet on
back to the UFC in 2017. Do you guys think that will ever happen?
Yeah.
That one I'm not sure actually because it depends on how bad of a beating Floyd gives him.
Right.
It really does.
I said that
I'm
in the
telling
podcast.
You, look, Leroy,
he's coming back. He's coming back.
Leroy,
you can make money to save a generation of your family to come back and fight again.
Yeah,
anybody at his age when he's having kids now.
Right.
Oh, dude, yeah. He can still come back and fucking make a good fucking money. He can make a good $3-5 million fighting again for UFC, and the Diaz fight's still out there. He's not gonna give up that Diaz fight. I promise you, he will fight Nick Diaz for a 3rd time before he retires.
look, man. Like right now, what do you guys think is, in your opinion? Because Leroy, you're the one that said it. You were like, oh man, he's destined to get an upset. All right, bro. Other than a fucking crazy ass decision like Pacquiao Bradley won, which was insane.
It's not going to a decision.
Okay. All right.
KO,
okay. What do you think is Conor McGregor's best attribute?
Vicious power.
Oh my God!
And unorthodox movement.
Okay. All right. So you must.
But for MMA,
listen to me. You must have not listened to Paulie Malignaggi, who all of last week in New York when they, bro, you just sparred him 8 rounds and you've been around the block and you've sparred a lot of people. What'd you think of his power? Did you hear what Paulie said?
Yeah, he
Paulie
said
it's
good.
Respectable.
Yeah.
No, he said it was respectable, which basically means you punch like a bitch for 154. You know, that means that's what it means when somebody, oh, you're respectable. Hey, Leroy, yeah, when you punch me, it's respectable, dude. That's not a good thing, because when Paulie makes the same statement and says, well, I was sparring Iman, who's 135er, and when he hit me, it's like, oh my God, power. Now, if Paulie would have told me, or Paulie would have told the world, you know, on those interviews, oh man, guys, I sparred McGregor, and I'm not gonna lie, because Paulie's not gonna lie. And Paulie would have said, dude, that guy's got oh my God power. That would have shifted the lines. But the minute he said, yeah, he's all right. I mean, I've been hit by harder people in boxing with 16-ounce gloves that weigh 135 pounds. I'm like, all right, bro, you're not even hitting harder than a 135er, and you're supposed to be 154? I mean, Victor Ortiz will definitely knock you out then, because Victor Ortiz hits fucking hard. And that's
Ortiz doesn't have a chin. He can't.
Dude, no, but this is what I'm trying to tell you, though, is that you know, when you say, oh, he's got great power. Yeah, you got great power if you're wearing 4-ounce gloves, hitting a bunch of people that aren't playing boxing because they're worried about your kicks. But when they're not worried about anything else other than your hand and your position, you know, and Floyd's the best at that, putting himself in the right positions, you know.
Me under 4 rounds. I believe what Mystic Mac said.
Oh, you should believe it. You should believe.
Hey, LaRock,
you should believe that his
mama have a dream about it.
If his mama has a dream, I'm all in, baby.
I don't think she did, brother. And that, hey, even if she did, it's not Ortega's mom. So, how much credit are we gonna give this fucking? We got some real fucking, you know, Mexican fucking. Man, I can't even remember the. But you know the whole. You know, we got some Mexican voodoo or getting some Irish voodoo. I'm gonna side with the Mexican side.
I'm telling you, Mystic Mac said it. I believe it now.
Look, okay, let me ask you this, Rory. Let me ask you this. What did Mystic Mac say on the first fight between Nate Diaz and him? What did he say? What was he going to do to Nate Diaz? Tell me what he said he was going to do to Nate Diaz.
Mystic Mac made a bit of a miscalculation there. Mystic Mac.
Calling out Mr. Reyes, though, man. You had I've looked you up before we did the show. You had a bad pick in that Holly Holm fight, did you not?
Oh, no.
I picked for. Oh, did you call it? I didn't. I looked at the preview, baby. I ain't gonna lie.
No. I picked
for
Holly Holm. Yeah. I said that the boxing community would get upset if Ronda wins because they fucking put her on the cover of a magazine. And Holly Holm, who would be the one that, if you're going to put anyone on the cover of a magazine, then you should put Holly Holm in.
This is why all the listeners of the NegroJItsu fucking podcast got to the master. He's telling you, and I'm telling you, that you have to click on the link, Meryl. You can't just read the preview.
Yeah, you can't read you guys can't just read the headlines. You got to actually, like, look, if you're going to...
Don't just look at the podcast. Click on the podcast.
Yeah, like I'm gonna keep it real with you like this. Like I've been wrong on a lot of different picks, you know, because I got my own show with cagesiders.com. If you guys want to check it out,
when you have to make picks, you're going to be wrong on it. There's some weeks you should just take off.
Yeah, like you should see like if you guys go into cagesiders.com and check out some of the
fucked up for 214
TV episodes. Yeah, like I messed up. Like I went 0 for 4 on one of it. You know, I was laughing about it. It's funny, but here's the thing. I definitely agree that. If you click on anything that says my name, make sure you listen to the shit first. Because sometimes they'll put on a headline, blah, blah, blah. But that's not what I said. And then you got to listen to what I actually say, and then you know. So no, man. But I'm telling you, dude, no fucking way that McGregor did shit to Floyd, dude. No fucking way.
Fucking way.
I see it. I'm buying me a ticket to go
Don't
watch
not
this
lose
shit
your money.
with other
Don't take
people.
LeBron's advice, please. America.
I'm going to watch with other people down at Ballpark Village, so when they scream and cheer, I can hear hundreds of people fucking go crazy when he knocks Floyd Mayweather out.
You might be the only black man in America going against Floyd, dude.
I just know Mystic Mac didn't do this for no reason, man. Let's talk about Cormier getting knocked out. I think this might be one of the last topics here, unless you guys have anything else on your mind.
Oh man, I wanted to lead off. I wanted to end with this. Yeah. I was waiting for you to bring it up.
Cormier versus John Jones. He got
face
knocked
down
out.
Cormier. We're gonna call him
face down ass up. Cormier, I love Daniel Cormier. It just messed with him a little bit. But Cormier got knocked out, and Joe Rogan interviewed him. I think that combat sports, they need to stop interviewing concussed fighters. You don't go to the football game, see the damn quarterback get knocked up, and some interviewer immediately rush over to him about how you feel about that last play. Like, we all need to be more civilized and start taking these injured fighters to the back and not interviewing them. This is ridiculous. We can't have people that have just been brutalized and unconscious and stuff like that on the mic. Joe Rogan.
I agree with you.
Joe Rogan is very right about that. Daniel Cormier, motherfucker got PTSD post-fight. He's crying. He don't know what happened. It's like he got mugged or something in New York City Park. He can't tell us why or how. Of course you're going to cry. Don't have my boy DC out there or nobody else like that out there like that again. Let's take the injured guys, get them to the back. No more interviews for people that's not conscious. Everybody else, what say you?
I feel like you're equating this post-fight interview to like an acid trip or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, or you took a bunch of mushrooms and he don't know where he's at. You know what I mean? Like, look, man, there's he's a professional, dude. This is what they do for a living. He's very invested in this whole fucking thing. He got a job on Fox Sports. And, especially like him to shove Big John. And, man, actually, I was behind Big John. I love Big John, man. He's very nice on people on Twitter. But I think the guy might be kind of pretentious, man. And to do that to shove the dude's hand away to Big John, he's the man, Wait, why is he doing the... He wasn't professional after the fight.
He said he didn't know what was going on. He didn't. Dana White said.
Well, of course he doesn't.
Dana White said. Cormier pushed him away. He said, "Why did they stop the fight?" Cormier had no idea that he had been beaten unconscious. Like he thought that.
It's like
we haven't seen that before.
If you were in the throat, if you took some mushrooms and you're peeking right when you're taking them, man, and you're talking to somebody in their face, you still know who the fuck they are and how you should act in front of them. You don't act quite the same, but. You're not going to fucking start shoving people around and shit and being an asshole about it. I don't think we should give Daniel Cormier too much sympathy for how he acted in the ring. And Joe Rogan's doing his job. They sent fucking Max Kellerman into a legend. If there's ever been a for sure first ballot Hall of Famer, Bernard Hopkins is it. And, I mean, the guy's probably at least he's top 10 all fucking time at middleweight. They're going to send Max Kellerman back in that locker room to talk to him. That was way more fucked up because the guy fell out of the fucking ring and bounced off his head like out the fucking ring. And the MMA guys that might listen to it might not understand that, man. I mean, it's a 3-foot drop. And so they're going to send him back there. But it's fucked up for Joe Rogan to interview DC in the fucking main event of a fight. And DC's not in his prime, but he was never in his prime when he entered this fucking game. You know what I mean? He has to talk. Man, he stayed in the cage. If he didn't want to talk, he could have left. They wouldn't have followed him. Joe Rogan's doing his job, and the fact that he mentioned Joe Rogan's he lies about all sorts of shit. If it's up to Joe Rogan, we'd all be taking DMT once a month at least. You know what I mean? This guy advocates for some strange fucking things, and I'm not trying to fall in no K-hole, dude. But
I think we ran into a problem when he interviewed Overeem. And I think it was Stipe. He was convinced after he woke up that he had Stipe tapped out. And
people say crazy shit though.
That's what I'm
they get
saying,
knocked
man.
out.
These motherfuckers don't know what's going on, and you sitting here doing
That's part of the
interviews with
entertainment value.
Overeem says he tapped. Daniel Cormier say, why you stop the fight? Like, quit doing this to these people, man. They just been beaten into unconscious, viciously assaulted.
It blew up the internet, though. You know, blew up Twitter, gave him a good response on it, you know. But
Hey,
that's why you
meme
do
on
it.
somebody,
You got to do
man.
it.
Crying Cormier is going to against somebody, but if Cormier had some muscles, though, they wouldn't treat him like this, man. If he had like 2 muscles on his body, he would be the fucking man. But that's
you think they're discriminated on?
Raw deal.
It's a size
Raw
discrimination thing.
It's if he was built
his body type is I think
if dude was cut, they wouldn't have interviewed him.
Nah, man, it's the no muscles, man. They discriminate and get his people with no muscles. But that's the School of Black Negro Jitsu for today, guys. Angelo Reyes, Kevin Jones, thanks for filling in today. It's the best thing ever that CG3 dropped out. God, I got 2 of these personalities with me. Thank you guys so much. We'll do this again sometime soon, but that's all for today. Tune in to the MMA Edge Fantasy Podcast, bro. It's dropping probably tomorrow night for UFC Fight Night 114. Fighter picks from Michelle Capo Quinones. And next week, I got a hell of a revelation for what happened against Michelle Capo Quinones and Jared Gordon. I got some groundbreaking news about something that happened during the fight that caused him to be dominated like he was. Make sure you tune in. I'm also going to have input from Dr. Jared Vasquez. It's a medical thing. It's going to be very interesting. Michelle Capo Quinones on the MMA Edge Fantasy Podcast and the School of Black Negro Jitsu next week. But that's all for tonight, guys. Peace out.